Haven't you found that anxiety can and often does come at the most inopportune times? And sometimes we need strategies to get through those moments of being overwhelmed, flooded, going into shutdown mode, or going into complete panic. And so learning discrete grounding techniques in those moments are super helpful. Also, to remember that you need to build a connection with that anxiety rather than run from it. And learning those types of strategies and building connection is super important. But grounding techniques are great at even just keeping you level within your window of tolerance throughout the day. That is essential to be able to work on a cognitive level. Because if you do not have, or if you end up in a fight or flight response that's so big, oftentimes most of your cognitive faculties shut down. Learning appropriate grounding techniques that you can use throughout the day, even when you aren't necessarily feeling stressed, but just want to relax yourself a little bit more and come back down into that. Super important. Here are some discrete grounding activities or exercises that you can do throughout your day. A really simple one that I like to do is wiggling my toes within my shoe and just feeling the bottom of my shoe on my foot and kind of rocking sort of my foot back and forth. And breath is super important. I highly recommend learning variations of breath techniques that work for you. Not every one breath technique works for everybody, finding what works best. But on a grand scale, diaphragmatic breathing is super important for your physiology. And so learning a diaphragmatic breathing would be super helpful. And all that essentially is as you inhale, you expand your belly outward and feel that expansion up through your chest and through your lungs, and then ultimately exhale, slowly letting all of that go. And repeating that 3 to 5 times is super helpful in regulating your nervous system and bringing you back down to somewhat of a baseline, or at least out of that panic state. Tactile things like slowly touching the ends of your fingertips is super important. Even just grabbing a cold drink and like holding on to the drink, or a hot drink, something that's tempered that you can feel. Also using other senses, right? So even just sitting and listening to the sounds and naming the sounds that you hear. That's another really great way that is discreet and immediately helps you bring you back into the here and now. Doing things like using the alphabet and finding animals that match each letter of the alphabet can be helpful, but also might be frustrating. So watch out for that. And the other piece would be you could use math, going up by 2s or going up by 5, something like that to help bring you back down. Can be super, super helpful in grounding.